Breaking news! It's just been confirmed. Changes to the team have just happened. I'll give you all the scoop, but before we dive into today's breaking news, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any updates on our Browns. Okay, so let's get right to it. The Cleveland Browns just shook things up in a big way by signing quarterback Bailey Zappe. That's right, Zappe, who some of you may remember from his rookie season when he dropped a 300-yard game on us in 2022 while playing for the New England Patriots, is now a Cleveland Brown. With Deshaun Watson's season officially over after being placed on injured reserve due to a torn Achilles tendon, and backup Dorian Thompson-Robinson also dealing with injury issues, the Browns needed to bring in some fresh talent at quarterback. Zappe, a former fourth-round pick, was most recently on the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad but was released after the Patriots drafted Drake May and Joe Milton in 2024. Now, after being signed off another team's practice squad, NFL rules say Zappe has to remain on the active roster for at least 3 weeks. It looks like he'll be backing up Jameis Winston this week when we take on the Baltimore Ravens, who have been hot lately. But if something happens with Winston, Zappe could get his chance to lead the offense. Now, signing Zappe isn't the only big move the Browns have made. In addition to placing Watson on IR, the team also released linebacker Tony Fields. Fields, a fifth-round pick in 2021, played in 45 games during his 4 seasons with the Browns and was a key contributor on special teams, logging 783 snaps. Unfortunately, injuries caught up with him, and the Browns have decided to part ways while he's still on injured reserve. There's more! GM Andrew Berry made a few other practice squad moves this week, including bringing back running back Gary Brightwell and releasing offensive tackle Sebastian Gutierrez. Brightwell returns to add some depth at running back after his brief absence, and Gutierrez, who was fighting for a spot on the practice squad, was released. So, Browns fans, there you have it, a busy week of roster moves as the team tries to keep things together during a tough stretch of the season. With Watson's surgery looming and a new QB on the roster in Zappe, it'll be interesting to see how these moves play out. What do you think of the signing of Bailey Zappe? Do you think he could be a solid backup to Winston or maybe even a hidden gem that could surprise us all? Let me know in the comments below. But the truth is, we're at a real crossroads here, folks. Deshaun Watson's Achilles injury in Sunday's game against the Bengals could have changed the future of the entire franchise. The Browns have been skating on thin ice with Watson's performance already a hot topic of debate. His off-field issues have only added fuel to the fire. And now, this injury is forcing the team to make decisions they've been putting off for far too long. Let's be honest here, Browns fans, this season was already looking like an uphill climb before Watson got hurt. We were 1-5, and making the playoffs was becoming less likely with each passing week. Our offense hadn't found its groove, and the big question hanging over the team was, is Watson really our long-term solution? His on-field performance has been disappointing, and now with this serious injury, the uncertainty has only increased. So what's next? Is this the moment that forces the Browns to start planning for a future beyond Watson? With Watson's future up in the air, the roster is getting more expensive, and there's a growing disconnect between players and fans. We've all seen the reaction of some fans booing Watson during pre-game introductions, and it's clear that not everyone is convinced he'll be the face of this franchise going forward. The quarterback issue is just the beginning. Beyond Watson, we have a lot of tough decisions to make about this roster. This is no longer a scrappy young team. We have veterans on big contracts that reflect a team built to win. GM Andrew Berry has invested money in the future to make things work in the short term, but we're getting to the point where it's going to catch up with us. For example, Amari Cooper still carries a $22.5 million salary cap hit even after being traded to the Bills. And Zadarius Smith, another key player, has a $14.2 million salary cap hit next season if we move him. With the November 5th trade deadline approaching, the Browns have some serious decisions to make. Now, GM Andrew Berry needs to assess the situation and make some critical decisions. Is Kevin Stefanski still the right coach to lead us through this? Is Berry the GM we need to guide the team to the next level? What about Paul DePodesta, our chief strategy officer? He's been with the team since the Sashi Brown era, and during his time here, we've had just 2 winning seasons and 1 playoff win. The reality, Browns fans, is that this moment could reshape the entire franchise. Whether we make small tweaks or big changes, nothing should be ruled out. This isn't about making knee-jerk reactions, but rather taking a hard look at where we are and what we need to do to get the team back on track. If the Browns handle this situation poorly, they risk losing the trust of one of the most loyal fan bases in the NFL. A fan base that bought into the decision to acquire Watson despite the controversy because we thought it would lead to victory. Now, switching gears a bit, despite a tough loss to the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 7, there's one thing we have to point out: our defense. One player in particular is getting the recognition he deserves. That's right, linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah just earned PFF's top run defense grade in Week 7, and it's well-deserved. The Browns' defense held Joe Burrow to just 181 passing yards, and while Burrow managed to throw 2 touchdowns, our pass pressure was relentless. We picked him off 3 times and shut down the Bengals' running game, holding them to just 59 rushing yards. Think about that for a second, Browns fans, just 2.3 yards per carry. Leading the charge on that front? None other than kidding. PFF gave him a 94.2 run defense grade, the best on the team, and for good reason. He was all over the field, racking up 7 tackles, with 4 of them being solo stops. That's exactly why he's the heart of this defense and why he's such a special player for us. Jeremiah has been a tackling machine this season, leading the Browns with 54 tackles in just 7 games. And it's not just his work against the run, he's also been getting after the quarterback, with 2 sacks and 7 tackles for loss. He even has a pick to his name this season. The guy does it all. The best part? He's on pace to top his Pro Bowl season from last year. With the way he's playing, this could be his best year yet. And let's not forget, he just signed a 3-year contract extension in the offseason, so we'll see him anchoring this defense for years to come. Now, Browns fans, I have to ask, what do you think of JOK's performance this season? Do you think he's playing at a Pro Bowl level again? So Gregg Williams, our former defensive coordinator, didn't hold back when it came to the Browns' tackling issues this season. If you recall, last year our defense was historically good. We were ranked number 1 in several categories. That was thanks to a dominant defensive front and a backfield that shut down the passing game. But 2024? Well, that's a different story. Neither our defensive line nor our secondary are performing at the same level this season, and Williams had some strong words about that on Baskin and Phelps. He said part of the problem is how practices are run. In his mind, there are only 2 ways to practice, a walkthrough or full speed. And if you're not practicing that way, you might as well go to the stands and sell beer. Williams isn't just blaming the Browns. He thinks this is a league-wide problem. Teams aren't focusing enough on tackling fundamentals in practice. According to him, it's all about accountability, from the head coach to the defensive coordinators. And when Williams was in charge, his teams practiced tackling every day to ensure players were prepared to shut down their opponents on game day. With the Browns heading into a crucial matchup against the Baltimore Ravens at home, these issues couldn't be more pressing. We're in the middle of a 3-game home series, and improving our defense will be key if we're going to turn this season around. So what do you think, Browns fans? Is Gregg Williams right about the tackling issues, and should the team focus more on fundamentals in practice? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more Browns content. Go Browns!